Endothermic organisms are those which are either also called as the cold-blooded animals, and in 11th class you have learned this term in the animal kingdom 4th chapter, poikilothermic organism. Now remember that the ectothermic organisms are unable to regulate their internal temperature, so they do not have the mechanism or they do not have the machinery in their body that is able to regulate temperature. So if the temperature outside changes, their internal temperature is also bound to increase, so they lack the mechanism to regulate it. That's why they are called as ectothermic. So we all know plants and most of the animals are ectothermic in nature. Now endothermic, those organisms which are basically warm-blooded animals, they are also called as the homeothermic organism, and they are able to regulate the internal temperature. That means we all know when human faces the cold condition, we all know temperature of the human body is regulated to 37 degrees centigrade or 98.6 degree. So we all know that if the temperature outside the body is cold, we start shivering, and this shivering ensures that our body temperature remains 37 degrees centigrade. And if it is hot outside, that means temperature goes beyond 37 outside, then we start sweating, so it ensures that our temperature remains 37 degrees centigrade. So such animals or organisms are able to regulate their internal temperature, and only two such organisms are there, birds and mammals. Now let's understand some of the extra terms. Organisms are called as megatherms if they are used to the temperature or the variations which are seen in the tropical zone. So those organisms which live in the tropical climatic zone are called as megatherms. Those which are able to live in the subtropical zones are called as the mesotherms. Those which live in the temperate zone are called as the microtherms, and those which live in the Arctic or alpine zones are called as the ectotherms. In the last class also we covered this concept. Tropical temperature in tropics temperature is always more than 24 degree, so that's why these are megatherm. In subtropical it is 17 to 24 degree, that is slightly lower, so it is called as meso because in between. In temperate zone it is 7 to 17, so they are called as the microtherms. And then very cold condition below 7 degree is the mean annual temperature. In the case of the Arctic zone and that area, animals are called, or plants or organisms are called as the ectotherm. I hope these terms are clear to you. Now let's move over to understand what is the effect of temperature on the living organism. To start with, the easiest thing is we all know temperature governs the enzymes activity because enzymes are sensitive to the slightest change of temperature also. So if the temperature changes, then there will be enzymatic activities altered, and that means growth and development would be directly affected by the change in temperature. In the same manner, because growth and development are the outcome of the metabolism, so metabolism or basal metabolic rate is controlled by temperature. And once we all know that once the reproduction starts, the activities of reproduction are also governed by the temperature. You can see there are organisms around you. When particular season will come, they start building their nests. I'm talking about birds. So birds have a particular time duration, except for few birds like pigeon. Maximum birds you will find that they are seasonal breeder. So why seasonal? Because the reproductive activity is associated with a certain season. Seasons mean temperature. So temperature affects the reproductive activities also. In the third chapter, as well as first chapter, we have already covered these things. Even in the genetics also, that there are organisms in which sex determination also occurs because of temperature. So a slightly higher degree for crocodiles or for the turtles. The eggs are in a heap, upper one with higher temperature, lower with the colder temperature, and this will cause the sex to be determined. So even the sex ratio is also controlled by the temperature. In the same manner, distribution of the organism, whether in a wide range or narrow range, is controlled by temperature. Even the coloration of the organism's skin, like if we are in the sun for a long time, or cold condition, such things will cause the coloration of the body also to change. And then behavior of the organism is controlled by temperature. or as well as the morphology of the organism, the size of the organism is also controlled by the temperature. Because if you'll pay attention, in the polar regions, mammals are generally big in size. You won't find small size mammals in the cold area. The reason we'll be learning in this chapter. In the same manner, you won't find small sized hummingbirds. It's in the NCERT mentioned. Hummingbirds and shrew are found only in the tropical region. They cannot survive in the polar region because of their size. So size is also controlled by the temperature. We will be learning in this chapter how. Now the next thing is the thermoperiodicity. Thermo means temperature, periodicity means regular. So a regular change in the temperature which happens in a cyclic manner is called as the thermoperiodicity. And there are two types of changes in temperature possible. It may be daily change or it could be a yearly change. So daily change means morning temperature is different, by the afternoon it is different, then by the evening it's different, and by the night it is again different. So these changes in the temperature throughout the 24 hours in a day is called as diurnal thermoperiodicity. And then in a year, we all know seasons change. Sorry. When seasons change, the seasons also will have certain change in the temperature visible. Like summer will be the hottest, followed then we will have the autumn slightly cooler, then winters will be cold, and then spring again will be slightly cool, and finally again it will be followed by hot summer. So the the seasonal changes of temperature and diurnal changes of temperature are the two types of changes in the temperature possible. Now apart from the temperature, we all know that water also plays an important role. So water is the second most important environmental factor which controls the life of the organism, type of the organism.